go.
Like that, we're live.
Like that. And Edmar didn't have a problem with his commute today.
I did little tweaks on the Python for the teleportation. It seems to have done the trick. Jen knows. She helped me. She's very modest. So we are literally days away now from GTC, literally just a couple of weeks. And we talked a little bit about OpenUSD Day yesterday on the live stream, but we should just show off this slide to all your great viewers here. What's happening on Tuesday, March 19th during GTC. If you're, I said this yesterday, but if you're on the fence for registering, either virtual or on-site, you need to just get off the fence and commit to it, because you are guaranteed to take away some amazing information and connections from these sessions at GTC, whether you're on-site, which I hope you are, or you're virtual. Obviously, on-site, there's a lot more personal connections, relationships, and networking that can happen, including a couple great events on OpenUSD Day. Here on the right, we've got a breakfast and a coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning for all you early risers there, and then we have a nice lunch, also a nice catered lunch for a couple hours. We're going to have lunch with experts, so we're going to have different people from various teams on Omniverse and NVIDIA, basically sitting at tables, chatting with you about your project, helping you. But OpenUSD Day will be a full day on Tuesday, March 19th, which includes a raffle, actually, and those sessions that are on the screen now. Everything from introduction to OpenUSD, which actually, again, yesterday we had Nandu on the live stream, and he gave a fantastic presentation of how he's leveraging OpenUSD for industrial inspection. So cool. Nandu will be there virtually. Will you be there? Let us know in the chat if you're headed to GTC. We'd love to know if you're coming on site or attending virtually. Jen will be there. Jen is leading, along with Eric, leading some labs, including the one that we've been talking about in this live stream series. So it's really going to be a fantastic GTC. So Eric, you need to give everyone that little discount code.
Yes. Yes. If you want 25% off your GTC admission, use my referral link.
You definitely should take full advantage of that. And there's another one, actually. Here's an even better one. If you've ever attended GTC before, either virtually or on-site a long time ago, but virtually during the pandemic, then you can use your same email address you used, and you will get a 40% discount. So if you've never been to GTC before, use Eric's code. They posted it in the chat. If you have attended GTC, just use your email address used before, and you'll get a 40%. Let us know if you're having any problems. The GTC app is now live. And we also have a meeting app opening up very shortly, which is leveraging the Brain Date platform. So you can see who's attending, book meetings with them right from the app, and the app will help you sort out the times and the place. It's going to be fantastic.
And let's see, Jen, are you doing the Brain Date thing too?
Yeah.
That's the GTC ambassador meet with people one-on-one thing.
Yes. My schedule is kind of funny because I keep getting...
I can't funny or hard to follow funny. Just kidding.
You're probably getting pulled in a lot of directions.
Not a ha-ha joke.
Okay. I think here's the best way to put it. Everybody wants me, and I don't have enough pieces of me to give. So it's very difficult to say what my availability is. But I will try very hard if anybody wants to, speak USD, XR, apps, Omniverse. I will try.
Well, and I think that, yeah. Anyway, this Brain Date app, it'll let you schedule us for like a 30-minute one-on-one meeting where we can go over your project, help you out with however we can. So
It's going to be great. And then, of course, we have the Isaac series live stream. Office Hours is up and running every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Pacific. So tune into that one. That's great. Obviously, very related to the content you guys are covering here. The Isaac team will absolutely be at GTC. If you're involved in any kind of startup leveraging Isaac or any other NVIDIA tech, Inception team will be there in full force at GTC. They'll have a nice booth, and you can set up meetings and get some amazing free, 100% free resources for your startup, including cloud credits, which are very valuable. So really, no reason to not be part of Inception if you're involved in a startup.
right. Isn't there another? When is that? There's another live stream coming up soon that has to do with Jetson, isn't there?
Yeah, oh my God, yes. On March 5th, let me see if I can bring up the calendar. Yeah, March 5th, Jetson Gen AI team. So not just a Jetson team, the Jetson Gen AI team is doing their first ever live stream, and it's going to be office hours format, similar to the Isaac. So in other words, you can come with all your loaded questions, and they will tackle as many they can live. But that's coming on March 5th. I'll bring up that.
Well, I'm really curious for that one because I don't know. Jetson and Gen AI is an interesting combination. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be about.
Yeah, it's let me see. I'll put it on the screen too, but it's so here's a link for that. Jetson Gen AI office hours. Okay, there. So there it is in the link if you want to add that to your own calendar, and I'll just show it on the screen really quick. But yeah, this should be a really really helpful. Anyone out there who's using the Jetson and wants to leverage Gen AI. All things Jetson Generative. So it's wide open. March 5th, 9 a.m. Pacific. Have your questions answered and learn from interesting guests.
I can't wait. So.
Yeah, that's all. And for additional background, go to that link on the screen right there, jetson-ai-lab.com.
Cool.
I can't wait to see this one. I'm just meeting this team for the first time. We're just helping them get this thing started, but super exciting. Thanks for mentioning that, Eric. I almost forgot.
Yeah. All right. So last week we left off. We talked a little bit about crossing that sim to real gap, and we had I done a LiDAR scan of the of that gym, and it wasn't looking like it was quite good enough. And so I think today we're going to work on that, and we're going to see if we can get an environment set up in our scene that's good enough that we feel like we can train a robot in it. So, and what I did is I went back and I took another LiDAR scan that ended up, I think, a little bit worse. So we won't use it. And I also just thought there's this other app called HDRI where it's HDREYE. So a little play on words. And I used that to capture an HDRI, but it's still in the cloud processing.
Wow.
So,
when did you do it?
About an hour ago. So
it takes that long. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm on the free on their free tier, so I think I have low cloud priority. So hopefully sometime in the next hour that'll come through. In the meantime, I thought we would take that other scan we did and just try a few tricks. And I think for the first trick,
so that's another reason to come to GTC. So at GTC, I have to put this on the screen. There's going to be the NVIDIA Gear Store will actually be at GTC. So if you want to pick up some NVIDIA swag, definitely come to GTC. That's another great reason.
So are we outing Edmar as a Stanley Cup fan?
Well, listen, I'm an accidental Stanley Cup fan. I don't know what happened with this country in the last year or whatever with Stanley, but I saw the SNL skit. But my daughter, who's 10 years old, she is absolutely like obsessed with Stanley, everything Stanley, like specific colors. And then so I said, I just happened to, like my silly mistake, I mentioned, hey, look, the Gear Store just had a Stanley Cup. I just, you got to get it. And I get it. And this, It's way too big for her. And it's hard to tell scale on the monitor here. This is bigger than my head, right? This is literally the size of maybe a small toilet bowl is enough fluid here. So it's too big for her. So I got it by default. So anyway,
but I will say those sell out super quick all the time. So if you want it, you got to come.
You gotta
don't
move,
get it.
yeah.
You don't get it with the online registration. You have to be in person.
Let me see. Actually, who in the chat is attending GTC, has registered already, and is coming on site? Just give a confirmation there. I'm curious. If we got any viewers who are coming GTC? If no one's coming on site who's watching a chat, let me know if you're registered to go virtually. All right, Eric. I'm sorry. That was a little bit of a
No, you're fine.
diversion.
We're here to have fun. Okay. Let's start by, I've got an empty scene here. Let's actually, I think what I'm going to do is, let's see. Oh, please tell me. Okay. I'm going to open up this racetrack because this is all rigged up, ready to go. We just need to make it look like the gym, right? And I think I might, actually, I think I'm going to start a fresh scene here. Let's go to File, New, because I don't want to use the same cones. I don't want to have as many cones because I have to actually set them up when I go across the sim-to-real gap. And right now there's a lot of cones. So let's kind of do, let's start with just, let's create Isaac environments. Let's do a simple room. Let's see what that looks like. Yep, it's taking a minute. All right. Oh, no, that's a tiny, that's totally, no, that's not going to do it. So let's, let's just do the grid room again. File, or sorry, create Isaac environments. And then this grid room is a nice one. Yeah, let's do that. And one thing about this grid room is this light in it is kind of goofy. So let's just, which one is it? One of these, if we rotate it. Here we go. Aha. Okay, now we're lit. The scene is well lit now. At least well enough. I think what I'll do actually is bring in the track, but then I'll change its scale and change the cone asset. If we just bring this track in as an asset, there we go. And if I remember right, it's too big, but we can fix that later. I wonder what we can do now. I do want to change the track, the actual track, but what I can probably do is add a new layer. And we're going to call it reality capture. What the heck? Insert sublayer. What just happened there? Oh, well, I don't know what happened there. Let's just create a, let's try it again. Capture. No, there we go. So I've got this new layer because I don't want to mess with the track or those things. So I've added this new layer. So any changes I make to this stuff will be in this new layer and won't affect the original assets. So let's start by, let's go to the Isaac assets and let's just see if there's like a traffic cone. Nope. Windows extensions. I want the NVIDIA Assets extension. It has lots of stuff. Asset browser. Interesting. Asset browser is on. So I wonder if there's like a separate asset browser.
What are you looking for?
The NVIDIA Asset browser versus the Isaac Asset browser.
Assets. So you go to browser.
Aha.
Assets.
NVIDIA Assets. Now we can search for cone here. And I think there's a couple of these cones that look a lot like the cones that I've got. So I can right click on this and copy URL link. And I think what I can do is go to this track. Oh dear, that's not going to work great. Come on. Oh, that's the material asset path. It's not letting me edit that. Oh, shoot. That's okay. I'll work on that more later. I don't think it's the critical thing is I think I can just kind of redo this track builder with these orange cones. And just it didn't take too long to do that. But today I want to focus on getting that environment in. But I was hopeful that I could just change this asset path, but it's not letting me. Oh, maybe I can add a payload. Nope. Well, yeah. Well, let's focus on the background. Let's see here. Gym wall. Let's just start with the gym floor. If you remember, this is the floor, and then we can turn that 90 degrees. And then we can lift it up. Turn it 90 degrees that way too. Honestly, I'm just curious. Maybe what we should try first is just to see if the car will train with this in there. Let me think about this. Because I'm curious what you all think, but maybe we should just like give it a shot, you know? I've got my other computer. I'm launching Omniverse on that right now. While we do that, let's finish this scene. We've got the floor in there. Let's tweak that until we really like its position. Yeah, like right there, I think. And then what we'll do is we'll hide the grid room. So we'll just kind of go boop. And then what we can do is if we go to the assets, or sorry, the
Do you have to
content.
scale it up though?
What I'm going to do is scale the cones down, I think.
Okay.
Because I can't change the size of the gym in the real world. It is what it is, right? So we'll take the track.
Oh, you got some pretty interesting comments coming in.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I actually want to move the floor. Yeah, so in theory, I could do this. So let's check out some comments, right?
So the first one, what GPU do you use?
I've got I've got two rigs going here. I've got my workstation, which got two A6000 GPUs. So that one is no slouch. And then I've got my laptop, which has got a single A3000, which does surprisingly well. I do lose frame rate. It drops down to like 10 frames per second when I run this simulation, but it's doing the job. Oh, that's kind of a cool idea. So adding levels like obstacles would have, yeah, I would love to get more. I was actually just talking to a researcher that I work with, and he has made a random track generator. So it just generates tracks at random. And if you had something like that, and if we had a reinforcement learning policy so that we could just have them automatically trained unsupervised, I think we could train these AIs to just drive in general, right? So just jump it, especially if you, yeah, because like for example, one idea I have here, like right now, what we're doing is we're trying to do a reality capture, but one idea is just teach you to drive this track in any environment. And so like we put these cones in here, and then in the extension that I've shown you before, whenever we click to give it a trajectory, it randomly just throws 100 HDRIs in the background and generates 100 data point, 100 images, all with a random HDRI at a random angle. And so, and what you could do with that sort of a training procedure is really train that AI to recognize the cones and nothing else. And along the same lines is we could have a random track generator that doesn't just do flat tracks, but does 3D tracks or tracks with obstacles. Or like puts cubes or things to avoid in there. There's so many possibilities, and this is really just the starting point.
It's wild.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
It's really cool. Actually,
it looks like there's a feature in Blender that can flatten the track. That's really good. So I think I'm curious to see what I want to do first. Is let's just see how well the car drives in this environment without any further training, because it's entirely possible that the model is already queuing off of the cones and not off of the environment and not off the background. It's a bit iffy, right?
I'm curious.
Probably not, to be honest.
That would be pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, but why not? That's easy enough, right? Just throw the new background in and see if it goes, right?
Let's take bets. Who thinks it's going to work?
Yeah, right.
Jen is very skeptical.
Very skeptical. That's okay. It's okay to be skeptical. I am skeptical.
I'm an eternal optimist. I think maybe we'll get lucky here.
Just get this. Cool. And then let's get inside and come on. Why isn't it doing it for me? There we go.
Well,
need some lights in here, don't we?
It's kind of spooky. Are we doing some horror stuff now?
I'm just gonna add a dome light, or a spherical light,
and just ramp up that intensity.
Is that the problem right now? Why isn't it shining at all?
Can you change the exposure level? And then, yeah, increase the radius.
The radius.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, weird. Why is it 10 bigger? Oh, okay. Whew. That's there we go. That's looking a little better. Just throw this to the top here. And I think I'm gonna have to move these walls around a bit more. Yeah. There we go. Oh, It's kind of backwards. So let's go. That's more like it. And let's get these gym walls and just keep tweaking them until it looks a little better. Yeah, we'll just kind of go with that for now. It's a little. This is rough, right? And this is really a test. But like I said, if the model is looking, we've got it. Resonant 18 is an object recognition model. Okay, it's trying to recognize objects, and with these repeated cones, there really is a chance that it's learned to go off of the cones and not off of the background. There's a chance, right? This is like 1 in a million. You tell me there's a chance, kind of a thing, but let's just give it a shot. So we have our new track here. File, save. I'm going to call this Gym on nucleus here. And that's scaled down. And I'd say let's just, I got to put the robot into this. I've got my rigged robot right here. Where are you? Okay, right here. Cool. Turn it native 90 degrees. Okay, so now we have a remote control car in the scene. And let's save this scene. And then I'm going to open it up on my Linux laptop that can actually run this simulation. Oh, of course. Well, I'll go ahead and share that screen. And of course, I'm not logged in.
This is just your way of building up tension.
Yeah, right? All right.
Oh no, passwords.
Yeah, I know.
Secrets.
Don't look. Just kidding. You can't see it. I had a grad student. We had a pin pad into our lab, and I had a grad student who thought that when you hit the pin, it beeped every time you hit a button, and he thought he just didn't really think about it, but he thought it beeped like a phone does, like a different tone for every number. That would be very poor security.
Huh.
Does that make?
Isn't that people used to hack phone numbers a long time ago?
Yeah.
Phones.
Yeah, they had different sounds, but also so there's like different things depending on what phone you're talking about, right? The first phone, which is the dial, right? That you have to you go and then it goes
click.
So they can time that to figure out the phone numbers because it's how long it goes, right? And then you have when they got past that, then they started making different tones for different numbers. And then some people also use fingerprints too.
I actually met I was at the science fair when I was in junior high, I think. And this kid next to me had this device with a suction cup he could put onto a payphone, and it would send the tones to the payphone to give him free phone calls. Because I guess when you put a quarter into those old payphones, they would do give it some kind of a sound. It would make a sound that would basically give you the credit. So he had this little free payphone hacker device. Oh, just a second. We've got a comment that I really like. I heard there's a way to win a Jetson.
You heard right.
You heard right. There is more than one way to win a Jetson. So my favorite way is if you attend this hands-on Ackerman AMR lab, and if you and your partner post the fastest lap time, then you and your partner each win a Jetson. I'm pretty sure it's going to be an Orin Nano, but there is a chance that it'll be an Orin AGX, an AGX Orin. which would be epic. But I think it's going to be an Aura Nano. And then I also happen to know they're going to be raffling off a number of Jetsons on the last day. And as Edmar mentioned, if you go to these live events, how do you get raffle tickets?
They're giving out tickets at each of the sessions on OpenUSD Day, and I believe there's a really nice giveaway at the end of that day at OpenUSD Day, which is Tuesday. Last week's live stream, I'll post a link in the chat. Stephanie Rubenstein went over OpenUSD Day and all the deets, so I'll paste that in a second. But Mike, we'd love to see you there. If you end up coming, let us know. We'll set up a meeting.
What are we giving away in the raffle?
I believe it's I'm not allowed to say. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I believe it's a GPU, but
whoa.
Let me see if Stephanie might have mentioned it last. We talk about so many different things in the meetings. I'm not sure. I forget what's public and what's not public. As you guys know, I'm not good at keeping secrets that I think the community.
I know. I always bother you, and then you're like, "Wait a minute! Don't tell anybody, though."
Mike's also asking. So you have two different workstations running, right? One is on Linux, one's on Windows.
Yeah.
So the one you're looking at right now, Mike, I believe this is the one on Windows.
Linux.
Sorry.
Yeah. So all the raw stuff works best on Linux. I've heard there are ways to get it to run using WSL, but it's not so smooth. And I would say it's not even just the Omniverse stuff. I'd say ROS 2 in general. I tried getting it to work on WSL, and I tried getting, being able to flash my Jetson through WSL, and just getting WSL to see the USB ports is tough. And there's all these hoops you've got to jump through. And I recommend getting yourself Linux if you're going to be working with ROS a lot. So, okay. And let's see here. I wonder if I've opened one of those. Aha. Don't save. Oh, here we go again. Okay, we're good. Aha. Now we can open Gym. Don't save. Cool. So I've got this car that's already rigged, and it's already got all the raw stuff built into it. So I just had to bring it in as an asset into this new environment, and bada bing, bada boom, we should be able to see if it drives. And it's loading this for the first time, so it takes a minute. There we go. Let's just zoom in here. This isn't the camera that matters. Let's take a look at the camera left. Yeah. It kind of looks like the real thing. So I'm really curious how well this goes. Let's and actually for this, it's going to use the left camera, but we can watch from the chase camera just to see. It's a little easier to see. And I just want to be clear here. The reason we're starting with this really low fidelity effort is intentional. It's kind of like we don't know how accurate this stuff needs to be, right? We don't know how well this scene needs to be modeled, and it's in our best interest to find out kind of the bare minimum, really. Like if we can get away with a really low fidelity model, then that's what we should use. We shouldn't spend all this time trying to make a perfect photorealistic model if that's not what we need, right? And yeah, and when really we're teaching to recognize these objects, these cones, that's the key. So let's see if this works first. Oh dear. All right, that's not good.
Is there gravity enabled on the floor?
I'm going to delete the grid room here. And I'm going to just create a ground plane.
Wait, but that was so funny though. You should.
It was funny, but I just don't think the car's going to drive very well that way.
You sure? Have you tried?
There you got me there.
We moved from car to drone.
There we go. Let's see if this works now. There we go. All
That
right.
was an interesting jiggle. You know, I'm curious though, is your other gym stuff though, do you want to have physics on those assets?
On the actual gym?
Yeah.
Nah, as long as it looks good.
Okay, because I think that also jiggled.
No, what you got here is the camera is because the car jiggles, and this camera is attached to the car, so it makes the camera jiggle. Interestingly, though, if you look at those cones, they're not falling at all, and so we're getting shadows off of those cones. We'll see. What I'm learning is sometimes more than the objects themselves, you've got to watch out for like shadows and reflections, that sort of thing. So, yeah, right. This really is a gym environment. Yes, this is the true meaning of Isaac gym, right? No.
This isn't a proper gym. There's no leg presses. There's no bench presses. There's no treadmills. Like, come on.
Yeah, here we go. I've got a PC with a 3060, 12 gigabyte to try Omniverse. Yeah, that's about what I'm running here on this laptop. So the stuff I'm doing on this, you should be able to do it with a 3060.
A decent rig.
Yeah. 12 gig. Yeah, so that's good. And you did good getting the 3060 rather than the 3060 Ti because it's got a little more VRAM. But if you like what you see, I would recommend upgrading to like a 3080. It's really getting more VRAM. If you're having trouble with your scenes, just more VRAM is going to help a lot. And then the 40 series, of course, is going to give you a little bit better frame rate, or a lot better frame rate. And another good question. Thanks for all the questions, folks. Yeah, so in this GTC session, in the hands-on session that I'll be teaching, you go from just looking at the at the CAD template that makes this asset to what USD was used to automatically rig that, to building an environment to train it in, and then to actually training this car to drive around the environment and everything. So you're going from zero to we've got a autonomous vehicle driving around a virtual environment, and it's all done with ROS, so that the driving code and that you're using to make the car drive, you could deploy directly to the real robot. So it's all going to be hands-on. You get to do it yourself, and if you do it well, so you post a good lap time, you can win yourself an Orin Nano.
I like this comment. 8 gigabytes of VRAM isn't fun to work with. Just download more RAM. Just go download it.
You need more blinker fluid.
Yeah, exactly. Easy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. So let's get this going here. CD raw stuff. And we're going to do Python.
For those that aren't too familiar, he's changing his directories. He's listing out his files. Now he's running some Python.
Now we're going to see here. What happens?
Oh,
it's not doing as bad. You can tell it was trying, wasn't it?
Yeah, that looked like what I was doing when I was 15, trying to learn how to drive. Yeah. And my mom said, "Okay, don't steer towards the garbage cans." And I'm like, "What? Towards the garbage cans? All right."
Did you see it trying to steer back a little bit? It's like it was trying. It was trying. I think we have enough time to train a new model, if my extension isn't crashing, which it was the other day. But
now that you said it, now it's going to.
Come on. Oh, it opened up. All right.
So you want to give a little spiel for people who aren't familiar with this?
What's that?
Like a little spiel about your little extension here?
Yeah. So this is the extension we'll be showing people how to use in the hands-on lab. And let me just get the controller working first. Okay. So now this is the hand controller. What this extension does, we're going to change to the left camera, is now I've got this, if I run the simulation, I can drive the car with my keyboard now, okay? Let's see if it works. So I'm driving the car by hand with the keyboard. Come on, turn. Ah, too much turning. Too much turning.
Oh, no.
We'll try again here. There's a little bit of delay between hitting controls and it doing stuff. So we'll just take our time. But so that's what we're doing. Then we hit this capture button. And that captures the image from the viewport to this thumbnail. And then I click on this thumbnail. And that takes the image and it adds that annotation to the image where I clicked. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to capture a bunch of images this way. And we'll train a model where if we give it an image from the camera, that model will try to guess where would Eric click? Where should you click on that image? That's what the model is trying to guess, which is actually not a very hard model to train. We just give it an image and get back an XY coordinate. And so then what we'll do is once we have that model trained, we can hit this evaluate button. And then as we drive around, it'll put a green dot on this thumbnail where it thinks it should steer. Now just be aware that green dot is based off of the viewport, not off the thumbnail. So it's not my ideal user experience, but it's what I've had time to write so far. And then once we feel like it's in good shape, we can save the model. So let's drive and train.
Yeah. And just for people to kind of also think about in the back of their head too, we're simulating this, right? So like, large scale situations, like let's say you're trying to do an AI for a Formula One car, right? And if it crashes, that's really expensive. But when you're simulating, think about how much you're going to be saving on materials, how much you're going to be saving on like construction and like all this other stuff. Like it's pretty darn cool when you start getting into the weeds of it.
Sorry, I'm having some trouble.
And if anybody's watching the Formula One on Sunday, let me know. Doing some of the speed stuff.
We'll just kind of keep driving around here.
Yeah. Now, what is really good, especially when you're trying to train an AI, is don't always have perfect data. Sometimes, as Eric did, he drove into a cone and then basically said to the AI, "Hey, if you're too close to this cone, you need to be over here," right? So it doesn't always have to be perfect.
Oh, and I'm not.
This is good stuff for it to train on.
Yeah, I might work on this control code to see if I can get it a little bit easier to steer, for Pete's sake. Ooh. I'm really struggling.
I like this question. What kinds of gyms and training is available with Omniverse? So you probably might be able to see it, but there are samples in the Isaac Sim Foundation app. So you can go in and you can actually try out some of those examples. I don't think I have a list on the top of my head unless you know of some of them, Eric.
No, I don't. Sorry. I'm trying to drive this thing.
He's concentrating. That's okay. I can pay attention to chat.
Cool.
I can entertain people for the meantime.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get on a roll here. There's just like a bit of like delay between me hitting the keys
Yeah.
and doing something.
At least we don't have to set the cones up after a crash. That is true. Think about it. You don't have to reset up cones. Oh, that's a good one. Wait, you could technically simulate bowling and then you wouldn't have to redo the pins every time. Oh, that would be nice. That'd be great. Why not have joystick commands instead of image clicks? So the AI tries to map image captures to joystick velocity commands. You absolutely could. We're actually using the method created by Jitoku. He has a whole thing on GitHub, and it's basically done using a Jupyter Lab notebook. So we're basically kind of just incorporating what he already has inside of Omniverse. So, but you most certainly could for your use case. Let's see here. Could you control the car with an overhead while capturing the on-car camera?
Yeah, you probably could, but it might be hard to annotate it right.
I would agree with that. Yeah, let me see if I can find Jitoku's GitHub.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful. So Jitoku's does like a real car. In the real world. Getting better. The key I've learned is you just tap the arrow key. Just kind of like when you're in the turn, just start tapping it. Don't hold it down, unless you turn way too much.
Ooh, I like this question. How many frames do you need for training?
I found
it really depends.
Yeah, but with the other track, 400 was pretty good.
Yeah. Sometimes some people say, well, you need a lot. Some people say you don't need that much. It really roughly depends on how you're training your model and what you're feeding into it. So it's definitely a trial and error kind of thing. And, you know, as Eric said before, if it learns based off of these cones, you could probably apply this to any track if trained well with not so many frames.
I'm gonna restart. I'm gonna make a change to the code here.
Okay. So the control commands generated via the image annotation / clicking is deterministic, like traditional control, and not learning based.
No, I'm just driving the car and annotating right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we'll do is once we have a good data set, about 400 images, then we will, once we have about 400 images, then we'll train on that data set and teach the car to drive itself.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the actual control code. And I'm just going to lower the speed a little bit and lower the steering angle.
Mm-hmm. And then for those that have always been interested in this stuff, like the code and the assets and whatnot, it will be released publicly, just not now. You're going to have to wait. I'm sorry. It's like your favorite movie. You're waiting for it to come out. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it so good that it just blows your mind. So you got to wait till we really give it a nice good shoe shine, and then we'll give it to you. We don't want to give you something that's
Thanks for using the
broken or
polishing a shoe. Thanks for using the polishing a shoe analogy versus the polishing another thing analogy.
Oh,
All right. Polishing a turd. No, just kidding. It's actually a really good laugh. It's a really good laugh. And yes. And I'm actually going through the process to make it public right now, like the our internal process to give it a license and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try. This is a little bit less steering angle, and this is a little bit slower throttle. So let's see. That's a little easier to drive. All right, let's go. Yeah, it's nice because they're controlling with ROS. Notice that I just edited that ROS package. Just relaunched it here, the ROS node. There you go. So I'm just driving myself by hand and annotating, creating this data set of images with XY coordinates that we will use to train the AI model.
Yeah. So how do we know if it is training on the cones versus the orientation of the wood planks on the floor?
You don't. And if that's something you're worried about, in this case, I don't mind if it does, right? If it's picking up those wood planks, I'm like, great. As long as it'll drive in this gym, I really don't care what the computer's recognizing.
Yeah.
But let's say you wanted to train a model that would work in the gym or on concrete or in different environments. Excuse me. If that's the case, then what you want to do is use what's called domain randomization. And, oh, shoot. Bad annotation. What that means is, what you could do here is, I'll stop for a second, is every time I click, right now it's using this environment for the background. But what you could do is you could make like 10 different backgrounds or just use HDRIs. And every time I click, what you could do if you wanted to only recognize the cones is put 10 random backgrounds in there every time you click with that same annotation. And then that'll help the AI recognize the cones and not the background.
Yeah.
And really that kind of domain randomization is pretty easy with Replicator. Or or you can write an extension that does it for you. So
yeah.
And then the other thing you could do to help with domain randomization here is also when you click, you could do things like do different grayscales and change the color, saturation, hue, like crop the images differently, and to really help it recognize the cones and not the background.
Yeah, my favorite thing would be essentially you're doing some type of image segmentation. So you would say, all right, the cones have some type of image or some segmentation on it. So you have like different images, right? So you have your one image that's basically where it segments out just the cones. Then you have your full image, and then you have your full image with the annotation on it. And then that way you could do some type of training through that using both the annotation and having that segmentation for the cones. And then Erica said you could throw in another bonus by adding in different environments too with it. So that way it knows, okay, I'm training specifically on the cones.
We just killed it. I'm going to force quit.
Oh, no. So
that's okay, but it doesn't lose the data set. Don't worry. It's just going to be too small to train on. We'll go ahead and train on it and see how close we get. But
yeah,
I don't think it's going to drive yet today.
So the model tries to predict where a human would tell it to go, essentially. How are the velocity commands generated from there on?
So that is, I'm not going to tell you how I did that. I am going to tell you that you can do it. I'm going to tell you that we don't have that in the lab. And I'm going to tell you that the secret to winning this race is figuring that out. Yeah. So, and remember, if you come in person, you can win a Jetson if you figure out that problem. You guys have the advantage. I've given you a big advantage to the viewers of the live stream. Yes.
Yeah, I could just see Eric. He's gonna be in the front. He's gonna be in the front room, just like, yes. So I'm not gonna tell you anything.
You're gonna see me when it comes time to train for the race. You're gonna see me say, "Oh shoot, I've got to go get a drink of water," and then you're gonna see someone else that doesn't look like me come back and sit down at one of the empty workstations and train a really fast model. Just relaunching Isaac. I just want to show you how the rest of the extension works. I think it's pretty. That worked a lot better by decreasing the steering angle and increasing the speed that it runs running at. That really helped, made it easier to train, to drive the car around.
Mm-hmm. So is the plan to use reinforcement learning rather than something like a GAN?
Yeah, so reinforcement learning would be the kind of the strategy of choice if you want to train it to do something. And a GAN is a generative AI approach. So if you wanted to train an AI that could generate random scenes that have never existed before, but just generate random scenes, that you could do that with a GAN. Although diffusion models work better than GANs for that sort of thing. These diffusion models are the newer, more advanced competitor to GANs. A GAN is a generative adversarial network.
Yep. So what sort of sensors does the car have? That we're not telling you.
I can tell. It's got 2 cameras and a LiDAR.
Dang it! But now, what if they know now how to make the fastest car?
Yeah. Okay, so here we are. It still has our 79 images saved. And all we got to do is hit this train button. Oh, for Pete's sake.
You're out of memory.
Don't tell me.
You need to download more VRAM.
Cliffhanger. Shoot. Tried to allocate 106 megabytes. 3.7 already allocated. Oh, we're using up all of our memory just for this scene. Just by having Omniverse open. So we will not be training a model or running it today on this computer. Not to worry, the computers we have at GTC have more VRAM than this one does. But we have, and just to be clear, I think what we could do if you have this computer, that train button, you could just write a little Python script that does that without having Omniverse open to train the model. So then you could close Omniverse and then train the model.
Yeah.
Well, Zia is saying maybe we need a more minimal test environment. I don't have a scene open right now. I just have blank Omniverse open. But even that takes maybe 3 gigs of VRAM. So.
Yeah, I wonder if you go and change stage lights to default lights.
If that would lower the RAM usage?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Sure. Why not, right? Let's try
Can you visualize your RAM right now?
Yeah. Oh, wait, what?
Well, you've only allocated.
I've got a
320
driver problem here, don't I?
Well, you need to.
Because this thing has more like 12 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's only letting it get access to 1.4. So I think I've got a driver problem. Oh, give me a break. 24 gigabytes of VRAM is, you can do a lot with 24 gigabytes of VRAM. Come on, Kai. You're killing me. I mean, no amount of VRAM is enough, right? I'll give you that. You can never have enough, but you can do a lot with 24 gigabytes. All right. Well, unfortunately, in classic tradition for our live stream, we are ending on a cliffhanger. I'll figure out how to get this trained. I'll capture more data, and we'll see if we can get this model trained in this environment and see if it'll run. So, but I gotta say, I'm really optimistic because it did better than I thought it would with that model trained in the blue environment. A lot better. You could see it. It was trying to steer back. And one thing we could try too is there's the driver, the actual code that makes it drive. Well, we can talk about this more next week. It has this bias that adds it kind of is always trying to steer back to the right a little bit because our model biases towards the left. Well, we could increase that angle a little bit and try to bias it more to the right. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.